Getting older can sometimes suck, and getting older in the age of social media definitely sucks. If you're tired of people telling you to age gracefully, then you're in the right place. This is all about living your best life at any age. First rule, don't call me ma'am. Hey everyone, I'm Jodi Miller, and this is Don't Call Me Ma'am. Don't call me ma'am. And don't call my guest ma'am because she's so young. I could be her mother. I am her mother, actually. This is the coming out.
Yes, I'm adopted.
Yes, I adopted you. No, she's amazing. She's a comedian. She's a writer. She's an actor, producer. Just an all-around amazing human being, and I'm so excited to have her here. So start clapping right now, and by that I mean pull over to the side of the road if you're listening in your car, because we don't want you to get into an accident.
Yes, we do not that.
No, don't do that.
Finger clapping on the wheel.
On the wheel.
Thank you,
10
thank
and
you,
2,
thank you,
and
thank you.
do that. Start clapping for Mayan Lopez. Woo!
Oh my God! Thank you so much for having me, Jodi.
So excited to have you here.
Yeah, it's like I give already ma'am energy already, but you know I don't.
Do people call you ma'am?
I have been getting ma'am.
No.
You know, but I also, at the same time, I have a baby face, so I still at the same time get, what school do you go to? Which I'm like,
oh my
love
God. But do they mean high school or middle school?
You know what? I'll leave it up to them.
Okay,
but,
that's fine.
You know,
Is it somebody trying to pick you up?
I'm castable for longer.
Oh, no,
which
that's
is,
fine. Yes. But
you
if
know,
it's
I like
somebody
think
trying
it's
to pick
college.
you
I
up.
think college.
Okay, good. Oh, college.
Okay, good. Which is okay. I'm like, all right, that's fine. You know,
I went to middle school.
Again, with all of my titles, I'm like, you give me ma'am energy.
Ma'am energy. It
But-
is a really...
But treat me like it then.
Yeah, yes, then. If they are going to. Give you that respect. Here's the thing. It is a very... You will experience it. Every woman does. It is a slow, strange burn from being referred to as miss.
Yes.
A lot of people call you a miss. And then it eventually just goes right over to ma'am. And it's all ma'am. And then you stop getting carded. And then people are like, do you still get your period? Then you're just like, I'm going to start. Oh my God. Yeah, it's really devastating.
You know, I just hate that there's no male equivalent.
No, because it's sir.
So it's sir, no matter what.
It's sir, or they could be a sugar daddy. That's amazing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's sugar daddy, it's sir, it's they don't get anything.
Which I'm like not opposed to. I also like as I've gotten further in my career, my mom is like, you know, Mayan, like dating has been really hard.
Your whole life, or just in recent years?
Just in the last couple of years. I think like once I've gone on a date, I got ghosted like 7 times a couple of years ago.
Seriously?
Like it is just, you know, I tried to go older, but then the last guy I dated, he's almost 40, and it was just like a man baby. And then
that's a terrible right there.
And then the other ones, like I was at a point in my career where they would get intimidated, but then men say that they want, you know, a strong, independent woman, and then when they get it, they realize maybe they have to be a better man or like go up. And if they're not ready for that, that's fine. But you know, don't.
So
my mom also says, she's like, you know, a house husband wouldn't be the worst thing in the world
at all
for you.
No, I mean,
at this point, I'm like,
listen,
you know,
if he treats you well,
exactly,
and
that's
he's secure with it. Like I know a lot of men that are married to incredible women that the women are the breadwinners, the women, and they you know what I mean? They take care of the kids, or, you know, they do whatever they do, but they support them, and it works, and it's great. And the reason I think it's getting difficult for you at 29?
Yeah, 29. Yeah. I just turned 29.
Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
She just, right now on the show, she just turned 29. I think it's difficult because you're entering this age where now men, when you meet them, they're probably looking at you. I'm not saying this is true, but from my experience, like, oh, she's going to want to get married.
Yes.
She's going to want to have kids. And a lot of guys still want to fuck around. Mm-hmm. They want to leave their options open.
Yes.
And I was told by another comedian that I was on the road with once that he's like, because I asked him, like, why do you think that I'm still single? And he's like, because guys look at you, they want to date you, but they don't know if they want to get married, and they don't want to waste those precious years of yours. You know what I mean? So let's say you meet a guy, he thinks you're amazing, you guys date for 5 years, and then he's like, I'm out of here. To him, he's thinking, well, you've only got a couple years left to have kids.
Right.
You know, and it's a terrible way to think, guys, so stop it. Mm-hmm. Why don't you just try? Just like
yes.
go out.
I'm like,
Just,
I'm not expiring.
You're not yeah, exactly.
You
You're
know?
also showing up to a date in a wedding dress. Are you?
No. I mean, I could, maybe I tried that. I think they did that in The Bachelorette once.
Yeah,
but,
oh my God.
That's like, I'm not afraid to make a move.
Right.
I think that's also a thing. But I also want to be like chased and pursued. And that, God forbid, I want to feel feminine. I want to feel that. Again, I think sometimes men now, I think post Me Too and post COVID, I think a lot of us, or a lot of them, I can say that from my experience, they just are afraid to do the wrong thing.
They are.
And feel like they're going too forward or making you feel uncomfortable, which I'm like, I hate the walking on, eggshells. Where,
just be yourself.
Where, I'm sometimes the youngest person in these rooms.
Yeah.
And that was also a very interesting thing where I think also working on set with my dad, I would call him George, because that was a way of me trying to differentiate, not being like my dad,
of course.
But it was a respect thing that once our show Lopez versus Lopez, I was just on a sitcom for 3 years. 3 seasons.
3 seasons, amazing
which,
show.
I'm very sad that it had to end, but we survived 2 strikes in a pandemic.
Amazing.
And to have 45 episodes in this.
It's amazing.
You
can watch it. It's on Netflix though now. Yeah.
Yes, it is. And all 3 seasons are on Peacock, and I can hang my hat and feel proud.
It's an amazing accomplishment.
And some of the executives were saying like, we'll never forget what you did on and off camera, which, hey, that's like the best thing that I can hear. And it's like that's very mammy.
Yeah, it is very mammy, but that you should wear with pride for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's another thing too. So like, everybody has like, I had my midlife crisis. It just continues on and on and on. But I mean, you grew up in this industry.
Yes.
And I think that ages you mentally.
It does.
I think, yes, right? So you probably think, like, when I was 29, I was, I just moved out here. I was still bartending. I'd been doing stand-up for a while, but I was getting into sketch. But I still was like, what the fuck? What's going to be? Like, I was in a different mindset than you are.
I felt like I was a teen in my 20s, in my early 20s. I think I kind of stopped growing up at 15 when my parents got divorced.
Right. Yeah.
And my parents' divorce was very, very public. My dad cheating on my mom.
Yeah.
And
how did you handle that?
Oh, it was horrible. Those scenes in movies where you walk down the hallway and everyone is staring at you and talking, like that happened to me.
Oh, God.
And I went to a very small, private school in LA. And, there were some kids that everyone knew each other. So some kids came up to me and whose parents were divorced, and that was very nice of them. But also on the other part, one of the teachers asked me if it was true. And, as a 15-year-old kid, I just was already shutting down. It's like the whole last 3 years of my parents living, they were separated, but there was so much more that I found out.
Right.
So it was like my whole world just like got pulled out under me. And so, I've been very open. I was in a treatment center when I was 16, 17, went back to LA, back at the same school, which was not the best choice for me, but I wanted, some normalcy. But I've gone through it with relationships, like even just friendships. It's not just I have trauma just with my parents, but just growing up in LA wasn't easy as well.
Growing up in this
industry, no.
Yes, because you're under a microscope.
One of my favorite LA kids stories is I went to school in the same high school, in the same class. A lot of celebrity kids were in my grade. And I'll just name drop one, like my friend Destry, like Steven Spielberg's daughter.
Oh, okay.
And so one of our grad nights was at Madame Tussauds, the wax museum.
Yeah.
So Madame Tussauds called my high school and called all of us in and said, we can remove your parents' wax figure for the night if you want us to. Which I just thought was, like, that's a new mark.
Oh my God,
and I thought, I was like, what are they going to remove for Destry? Like the E.T. statue? I'm like, they're going to remove everything already? And I was like, well, my dad has one. And I was like, I think it'll be funny. My dad hasn't been like very present in my life. I'll be like, you guys get to meet my dad. I'm like, I'm a comedian. It's the best prop.
Right. Oh my God,
I was like, hello, it's great. But then I forgot where he was placed, and it's right when you enter, and that's where the dance floor was.
Oh my God.
And so I immediately regretted my decision because I was trying to dance with my friends and then I turned around and I go, and then the guys would be like, hey, I saw your dad try to grind on it. I was like, oh gosh.
Did you do the daddy-daughter dance though, at least?
I did when I was in elementary school.
No, I mean with the wax figure.
Oh yeah, exactly. That was like, and exactly. I'll be like, hi dad. This is why you weren't answering my calls. You're here waiting for me already.
This whole time. Oh my God. Here's the thing. I can't even imagine because my parents got divorced when I was a freshman in high school.
Oh, see, so similar time frame.
It is, except I mean, it was, nobody knew about it. You know what I mean? And nobody knew about it in my high school either. It wasn't in the public. Nobody talked about it. But here's the thing that I'm sure we both can. I mean, they lived together in uncomfortableness for years. So I really wanted them to separate. Even when they did, though, I was like crushed, but also like a sigh of relief because it felt, I don't know if you felt that with them, like the tension.
Yes.
It's strange to be in a house with people that you clearly don't want to be in a house together.
Yes. I think, they were talking about staying together for the sake of me until I graduated high school. Then they did separate and live in different places, and like I'm grateful for that.
I always tell.
Because now I'm like that. Makes it worse.
It does make it worse. I have a lot of friends that had kids that were going through junior high into high school, but they were thinking about getting a divorce. But they're like, I think we're just going to stay together. I go, don't do that.
Don't do it.
What you're showing your children, by the way, is we're in a bad situation and we just have to stay there and be miserable. And then it teaches us to just stay in a miserable situation.
You don't have a choice or a lack of choice.
You don't have a choice. You're not allowed to, sort of correct that. And once my parents were separated and divorced, they became friends. They were better parents.
Did they co-parent well with you?
I was already into college.
Right.
So my mom had me, through high school. My dad was around, but then I went to college. But they remained friends until my mom's passing. And they were just they were better human beings. They were happier. You know what I mean? So, but again, I could do that in private. It was all over.
Oh, yeah. And it's still,
I can't even imagine.
it still gets brought up.
Does it really?
Oh, yeah. Like, oh, your dad cheated on your mom and then your mom gave your dad a kidney. She should ask the kidney back in the divorce. It was one reporter that said that my dad divorced my mom when really my mom divorced him.
Right.
And it's all it took. And it's been... They divorced in 2011. I'm like, it's been 14 years. And I'm like, and people are still mad about it, which I'm like, look, it takes more energy to be angry than it does to hold on to it. I'm like, if you want to be angry for me, like that's,
people have an idea.
Someone will always say,
they will. Of course
always
they
say
will.
something.
Because they have an idea of whoever they're angry at. So say it's your dad. They don't know him personally. They don't know everything that happened. So in their mind, they have a version of him and they're mad at that person. It's kind of like when you break up with someone, you miss them, but you also miss the relationship in your mind that you sort of created. It's kind of that. So they have an idea of that, and that's what they do. And they do it to all celebrities.
I know. They say my dad, you're like, you look like an old George Lopez. And he's like, I am an old George Lopez. He's like, the show was over 20 years ago.
Yeah, but in their mind, he's never going to age. You know what I mean? I wish people would think that about me.
I know, exactly.
You look like a young Jodi Miller.
Which is so funny, because now I'm like, oh, I'll be able to like show my kids someday.
Yes.
My dad and I are now calling the show like our home videos. Of so like great. Me being able, I also lost 40 pounds on camera, which was kind of very staggering in the first season.
Oh my God. Well, we're going to talk about that, all of your weight loss journey. But I do want to say this one thing. It's just funny to me. So please tell me.
Yes.
So my dad thinks he's hilarious, but he tells dad jokes because he's not a comedian. He just tells dad jokes. But your dad is a comedian. Like, his dad jokes were probably like really good growing up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like really great.
Oh yeah. Sometimes we would communicate. Being raised by a stand-up comedian, which I'm sure your daughter will.
Oh my God.
As she grows up, give her my number.
I will.
But it's very funny that that's how we would communicate with one another is through jokes. So I always joke that it was always Lopez versus Lopez.
I love that
because sometimes that's how he would communicate, and if I can get like a really jarring joke in there, like you want to make a stand-up comedian silent.
Yes, you do.
You don't want them to have a comeback.
No.
I know I got a really good one when my dad says nothing, and that's like for me, put your hand up in the air, Breakfast Club, like going on the thing, like where it's kind of, and that was something that is, he kind of taught me weirdly like joke construction, and even my mom being an executive producer, like casting director, I just overheard so many conversations that through almost osmosis, I had stuff to learn, and I had to definitely earn the respect as I was working on the show, which, you know, valid, but I also went in there not knowing nothing, which was very helpful.
It's very helpful.
I'm like very aware of my situation.
Right.
I'm like, but it was something that I still had to prove myself.
Yeah, of course you do.
And
I'm a strong believer of it doesn't matter how you get somewhere, it's what you do when you get there.
Yes.
So if you're doing the work by yourself, you know what I mean? You've got definitely an advantage for sure, but you're also doing the work, you're putting the time in, you're figuring out stuff so that when you actually get those opportunities, and it doesn't matter how you get them, you prove yourself.
Yes.
Because you could have shit the bed. You know what I mean? They could have been like, oh God. I teach stand-up. I've taught it for years. I privately coach now when my show's in production, the game show. I just privately coach, but like when we were on hiatus, I was teaching my class, and I love to help up-and-coming comics, yes, teach them about joke structure. Also, there's exceptions to every rule. Be yourself, authentically
persona,
have your voice.
but also have a point of view.
Yes, exactly. But also really, yes, whatever resonates with you, whatever creates an actual emotion with you is usually going to be funny, whatever you're talking about. Because some people are like, I don't have anything to say. And then they'll say something, and I'm like, that was hilarious.
Yes.
You just say that. But a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions about stand-up and what it's about. And your father was definitely one of the trailblazers that talked, you know, a lot about his personal life, which is incredibly relatable, even if you're not going through the exact same thing. You know what I mean?
I mean, how messed up does my family have to be that we have 2 shows about our dysfunction? And sometimes, you know, my mom, the writer's room would call my mom on the first show, and Angie and George, which my mom's name is Angie.
Oh my God.
And, you know, they would verbatim have arguments that they had. And my mom was like, this is the most meta shit.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Ever. Or my dad would be on, you know, hear things about her on during his stand-up routine that she had no idea, and that could be very hurtful for a relationship.
Yeah, of course. Oh my God.
Well. And like, I've always like talked to your partner before.
Oh, of course.
You know,
yes.
or, you know, put
Yes.
your relationship in jeopardy.
Thankfully, I've been single my whole life, so there is no one. So anyone I go on a date with knows that they'll probably end up in my set. I mean, I adopted a child as a single woman. Hi, guys. Anyone out there?
Thank you. So much respect.
Thank you. I just wanted to be a mom. Everyone's like, oh my God, it's so. I'm like, no, I just wanted to be a mom. I didn't want that clock to run out.
Which I'm like wanting to freeze my eggs, but also. Like, they may not work, even if you get...
I want to talk about...
You know, that's another thing that a lot of people don't talk about, too, is that if you get unfrozen, you may have to go again.
Yes,
so it's not even a guarantee.
It isn't.
There.
I didn't even... It wasn't... I knew I would have a child with or without a man. I just kind of knew that. I was really hoping for the man, which is why it took so long. But I tried to get pregnant on my own. I didn't freeze my eggs because I really believed... he was going to come along. Of course. It was all going to work out. It all did work out because my daughter was always meant to be my daughter. So it totally worked out. But I spent many thousands of dollars sticking sperm in my vagina.
Yeah.
And sleeping with a lot of guys without protection. I was like, let's go. Let's do it. Let's do this. Let's get this done. But I mean, there are no guarantees with anything. And as we're learning, like more and more people, fertility is becoming an issue. All of this stuff is, you know what I mean? Like, more and more younger people are getting diagnosed with diseases that in the past were reserved more for older people. You know what I mean? So everything's changing. It's the stuff that we're putting in our body. That's a whole other podcast. But let's talk about PCOS.
Yes.
Because I wasn't even very familiar about it. So talk about what that is and when you started noticing like symptoms.
So PCOS is polycystic ovarian syndrome, which basically can be categorized. It's very common. It's in 1 in every 10 women, you know, struggle with polycystic. So a lot of it is infertility issues. It can be like hair growth, weight gain. I was like,
were you having really bad periods?
Irregular periods or no period at all.
Okay.
And it's something that not a lot of women. I mean, I didn't. It's like even I'm in a place of privilege, and I didn't get diagnosed with it until I was in my mid-20s. And I got my first period when I was 11 years old.
That seems so young.
You know, that was like yes, it was very young.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like already like a decade of going through, and they're just like, oh, well, you're just going to go just exercise and eat right. And I was like, I rode horses for 13 years.
Right.
Like, I was very active, and I would still, I was not
Were you having like really painful periods when you were really young? Did they try to put you on the pill when you were young? Because I had a lot of friends.
Not when I was young. No, not until I started going. Not until I had my first pap smear at 21. So that's when I would
My friends in high school were on the pill because they had such bad. I mean, probably looking back, that's probably what it was. But they would just put them on the pill when they were in high school because they had such bad periods, such bad cramps.
Yeah, but and then when I was around 22, 23, I gained 75 pounds in 3 months out of nowhere.
It's like the worst time.
Oh, it was horrible.
In your life to gain that weight too.
And I was in a relationship at the time, and then I was eating right. I was working out sometimes twice a day. I was living in Chicago, going to Second City, and I had a trainer, and my trainer actually got mad at me and yelled at me for not losing weight. And I was doing everything that I could. I was even going to Northwestern and seeing if I could get bariatric surgery because at that point and I was right before I was about to go in, a family friend who's an infectious disease doctor of all things, he was like, you know what, you should go to an endocrinologist.
Right.
And until I went to my endocrinologist, I was 22 and they said I was metabolically in menopause.
Oh my God.
They're like, he goes, I don't recommend you do this, but you could have unprotected sex and not get pregnant, which is devastating as a young
So just basically you were
person.
your body was starting to go into early menopause?
Not early menopause, but metabolically, that's how low my levels were.
Oh, okay.
As if I was a menopausal woman. And so, my gynecologist now, Dr. Thais Aliabadi, who's very renowned. She's incredible. She has a great podcast called SheMD, which is a #1 women's health podcast. She's had Kim Kardashian and all these people. And they were like, look, she's very hard to get into. Send them their labs and see what happens. Right. They called me immediately and they go, how old are you? And I go, 23. And they're like, you're going in. Because the highest weight I ever was 250 pounds. And,
oh my God.
And then I'm 150 now. So I've lost 100 pounds. And it was not, it was quite a journey because I've struggled with disordered eating, which is also another symptom of PCOS, is a lot of PCOS patients have eating disorders or they've developed eating disorders because their body isn't it's body dysmorphia.
Yeah.
And so, but she explained to me that I had insulin resistant PCOS. So I lost some of the weight using a lot of it with Ozempic and Mounjaro because I qualified for it because even though I wasn't pre-diabetic, my body wasn't processing sugar the way that it should.
Right.
And she
explained it all. Did you notice the results right away?
I mean, I lost 10 pounds in a week.
Oh,
because my body was finally working for me. I would put something into my body, I would be able to work out, and then, that amount of calories would reach that result. And that was life-changing. And, she tells me, she goes, I see a lot of patients, but I remember the first time you ever came into my chair and you looked so defeated. You had nothing behind, your eyes. And I go, oh yeah, it was really terrible.
Damaging. I mean, not just because of you, because you come from a celebrity family and you're going to get photographed, you're going to be seen, people are going to see you. But nowadays with social media, everybody's putting everything out there. And if you're not feeling comfortable in your own body, I can't even imagine.
I got a lot of cow emojis.
Oh my God. I can't even, it's just so.
Or my mom had to delete some things because I actually went to, I think it was almost my graduation from the conservatory. I actually didn't ever graduate from the Second City Conservatory because right before our final performance, I wrote a character and I was going to be in a leotard. And I was so scared of having those photos that I quit. And it's something that I regret going back, but also I, respect that version of Mayan's decision. Later on, after the show came to air, I saw that Second City followed me on Instagram. So I think that's that for me, that was their way of claiming me, or that I, graduate, they accept me as an alumna. So, that's something that I'm making up for now. And I thank her for, her strength in the past.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Things, relationships and everything.
We can't, there's so many versions of myself that live inside me that I'm still, that I'm still forgiving, you know what I mean? Comforting, consoling.
Yes.
You know what I mean? All of those things. And
which they also live inside of, like some of the best advice, I was like drowning because I actually stumped my psychiatrist once, where my old psychiatrist, he goes, I don't know how to treat you. And I go, huh?
What?
And I was like, he goes, I've never had a patient who works with the man that caused her trauma, playing a version of herself with a version of himself.
Right.
And airing out things that have actually happened for millions of people.
Right.
Like, not many people could, do that. And I've just had a lot of therapy.
Yeah.
I think and I also always wanted my pain to mean something. And I like to think that comedy is sometimes just tragedy and time.
Well, yeah.
You're able to laugh. It's enough time is able to laugh about it. And laughter is a release. It's a way of, definitely healing, totally, I'm sure, putting things out there, and it's a great connector as well. And so I always like hold on to that of like, that's how I would explain like what the show was.
I mean, you did what most comedians do, and this is my favorite quote of all time. I mean, they always say comedy's cheaper than therapy, but this is my favorite quote. You can spend 10 years on the couch or 10 minutes on stage. And whenever I've gone through any horrific thing, or not even horrific, just terrible thing, good thing, whatever, I get on stage, I talk about it, you work through it. I've worked with veterans, people that have PTSD, middle school students that are dealing with their own bullying and insecurity, teaching them how to use comedy to sort of like take that power back. And what you did, whether you knew it or not, you and your dad, is you took your trauma and put it through a comedy filter and you're working through it through comedy, which I don't think people realize is so incredibly healing. You take the power away from the big bad.
Yes.
You're talking about it and you're also making light of it. That's why most movies, when it's a scene that is like so sad, so just devastating. I always think of Steel Magnolias as one of the best breaking scene when Sally Field is like losing it, and then Olympia Dukakis is like, punch her. I mean, it's one of those things when she's like, I just want to hit something, and she's like, hit her. You need that break. That, you know what I mean? You need that release.
And it ends in laughter.
And you move through it. Instead of constantly coming up to it, it's so painful. You're there, and then you just back away and you can't.
Even in comedy, like stand-up comedians, like sometimes I stayed away from watching stand-up for a very long time, but sometimes when I've seen it, I see comedians sometimes speed through sets. And it's like, you have to let those pauses live. You have to be able to sit in it and, be comfortable with the discomfort, because that's also a very intimate relationship between a comedian and an audience.
Yes.
But I think it's also a very beautiful one as well. And then I think people are definitely going to comedy now for different points of view.
Different points of view. Also, we're desperate for comedy.
Yes.
The world is so serious and sad right now that people need to forget about. They need to forget about what's going on for however long they're sitting there watching comedy, and or listen to other people's point of view and be able to laugh about it. But it also is the great connector.
It is.
It's like music. You know what I mean? You can be a Republican, you can be a Democrat, you can be a Christian, you can be a Jew, you can whatever. But if you're laughing together at a joke, at something about dating or being a cat mom. But yeah, it is a great connector. Okay, so you start losing weight.
Yes.
And then altogether you lost 100 pounds.
I lost 100 pounds.
I look at you and I'm like, wait, oh my God.
Well, I just made a decision. I had surgery. I had cosmetic surgery to lose. I had a full tummy tuck.
I'm sure you had so much skin.
I did. Yeah. What's so funny is that I had a birthmark that was up here on my stomach, and now it's down. It's still there, but it's lower.
Oh my God.
So, it's kind of a funny thing that's now an indicator of like how much he pulled him. Like, I went to a great doctor, Dr. Robert Cohen, and it was almost like I told him, I was like, some people have asked me, like, why haven't I, I'm very fortunate that I was able to get the surgery, because I know a lot with weight loss. Sometimes you qualify for it, sometimes you don't. If I knew I wasn't going to be, I was in between gigs, maybe I would have waited a little bit. But, I'm glad that I did now. And people ask, like, why didn't you wait until after you had children? And I was like, I my mom joked that my boobs looked like the cover of a National Geographic cover. They were not for a young 29-year-old
sex to
woman.
have the children.
Yes, exactly.
So
there's a lot of steps that I gotta
to
go.
Just have the children. I want the body to get the bit. Yes.
God forbid I try to enjoy that process. But I'm so happy. I'm about, as of the time of if you're watching this, I'm about 4 weeks out, almost a month.
Amazing.
And I feel so great. And it's
wait, you did a tummy tuck? What else?
Tummy tuck, liposuction. I did a breast lift and trans because I had lost all this mass. I was a 34 triple D in my bra to a 36C. That's already just so it was just my body went through it. And I kind of asked him, I was like, is it kind of looks like my body had a baby without having a baby?
Yeah, where's
and he
the
goes,
baby?
Honestly, yeah. That's exactly what happened.
You did the mommy makeover.
I did. To be able to be a mommy.
Yes, exactly.
Try to become a mommy makeover.
That's right. I didn't give birth to a child, but I got a mommy make. I got my eyes pinched where they tighten the skin up there, and then eventually I'll do another one where they full.
And it's everyone's transgression if they want to share or not. Yeah. But I felt like my brand, for a lack of a better word, is I like to be authentic and being genuine and honest, and that's something that I feel like I would love. For if I knew of a celebrity who was using, GLP-1s and had that conversation, maybe that would have helped me when I was going through a lot of with my body issues and my stuff with my weight, or even knowing what PCOS was, I would have asked my doctor.
Exactly.
I think if I help one person or just know hey, Mayan had help.
I hope some people are listening to this thinking that, because first of all,
everyone's almost done something. Everyone.
Yeah, well, first of all, I've always been very open about it, and I have lots of jokes in my set. Watch my special, and you'll see a whole thing about plastic surgery. But I'm always about, if you do something that makes you feel good, share it. You don't have to share it, but especially with your friends, because people are just oh, thank you. It's just good genes. I'm it's share it. People are I color my hair. Lisa colors my hair.
Yeah.
This isn't my natural color. Everybody asks about my hair, and I'm this is who did it. I put makeup on. I love your eyeshadow. I'll tell you who my eyeshadow is.
Yes.
People are oh my God, your skin looks great. Guess what? I do a lot of Botox. I do fillers. I'll tell you where I get my fillers. Yeah, love it. Nice and smooth. I talk about it. I'm if I could get an IV of Botox, I would.
Yes.
I love it. Maybe it's not for you. It is for me. And if somebody says, where do you put it? I'm so scared. First of all, if I could be an esthetician or an injectionist, I would. I just feel like I can look at people's faces, and I want to just because I was doing a tour a long time ago when I was late 30s, and the first plastic surgeon I ever went to was a Doctors Without Borders, and he was home, and he came. We did a Botox party, and he did Radius for the first time on my face, which is a filler.
Okay.
And what he told me was, because I had the nasal phobes here,
right, yes.
And they were, my mom had the same ones, and I was only 37 at the time. I think it was 37. He was I'm not going to inject you here because it will make you look puffy. I'm going to inject you up here, the perimeter of your face, and then it pulls it up. Everyone, look in the mirror, and then imagine that if you had some filler by your temples, your jawline, everything, it pulls your face back but doesn't change the shape of your face.
It's all about the new facial balancing.
Yes. Yeah.
I've been seeing even yesterday I've actually had a lot of hollowness in my face because of my weight loss.
Right, of course.
And so even I got, liposuction underneath my chin, which I was awake for, which was very interesting.
Oh my God.
And some very good drugs. But
so jealous.
But I was and even the surgeon was wow, there's more in there than I thought.
Really? Now you're making jokes?
I was okay.
All right, settle down.
All right, can't laugh. I was but I got filler in my temples because it was starting to have hollowness. And even my girl, she was no, that'll lift and help.
And open your eyes.
Open your eyes. And, it's just a little, just tweaking what God made you, It
is. And by the way, I also say, if you do want to change your face, then that is your prerogative. Then you do
your body, your choice.
Exactly. Do what you want to do that makes you feel good. I just wish,
So maybe I'll be called Miss instead of
You're definitely,
ma'am.
I would call you Miss, all day, all night. But
or just nothing. I hope I think
gal.
waiters.
What if I called you gal?
Yes, gal.
You're a cool gal.
Yeah, you're a cool broad.
You're a cute broad. Yeah.
Bring back.
Yeah, I know some of those
terms. I always hope that I know some waiters they'll try to ID my mom, and it's oh, you're so sweet, but I like that they do that. And
I actually, when I go in there, I hate it because they're just
you do?
Well, because they'll make a joke.
Oh,
and they'll be like, barely 21. I'm like, all right, asshole. I'm not obviously barely 21.
Just tell me to get it out at least.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Just look at it to make me feel good, but don't comment on it.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't going to let you in.
You're like, I'm the comedian here.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Especially if he's like a young, cute guy. I'd be like, I will fuck you. I'll fuck you right now to prove how young I am.
Yeah, exactly.
That never works, by the way. That line never works. I mean, it used to work. But yeah, I mean, I wish people that are in the spotlight, influencers, celebrities, people that are on social media, I wish they would be more honest about it, because you're setting up unrealistic expectations. We already have that with filters, AI, everything. At least tell us, Jennifer Aniston looks so great, not just because she's doing laser peels.
Right.
It's impossible. It's not real. Like, there have to be some tweaks there. And that's great. Amazing. Look at Jane Fonda is that pioneer. I mean, come on.
I need to know her doctor. She looks
seriously
fantastic. I saw her at the Gracie Awards and she looks unreal.
She looks unbelievable. And she owns her shit. And that gives other people hope. And yes, we might not be able to go to Kris Jenner's doctor. I would love to go to him.
Yeah.
But there are other doctors that are also amazing that, you know what I mean, that aren't in Beverly Hills, that are in the Valley, that are in New Jersey, that are in North Carolina.
But do your research.
Do your research. Oh my God, it's your face.
Don't go to Mexico.
Don't
if
go to
you can help it.
Don't. No. Some people go to Turkey, but still, I'm like, I don't know. I haven't seen a turkey facelift.
I haven't seen a turkey facelift.
There's something funny. I know a friend, though, who went to Turkey and got his hair transplant.
Yes.
And it looks amazing.
I've heard the term Turkish hairlines.
Yes,
That's what they say.
He's a comedian, too. He did it. Joel McHale is a friend of mine, too. He did not go to Turkey, but he recently has been talking about retransplants. Just share your shit, people, especially if you're in the spotlight or you have a following. Or just tell your friends, for fuck's sake. If you have something done, don't pretend. Don't pretend you didn't do anything.
Don't be that guy.
I know everybody's like losing weight. Like, I'm just working out more. If you're using something, that's great.
Yes.
Because it is hard. It is really hard to lose weight, to keep it off, especially as you get older.
And metabolically, I couldn't have done it without.
You wouldn't have been able to. And I was actually thinking too, did they even test you for like thyroid issues? Because
I do have Hashimoto's. So I do have a thyroid condition as well.
Right. And
so that's like double whammy, which even my doctor, my endocrinologist goes, Mayan, you have every symptom of both of your diseases that you have. And I go, what can you say, doctor? I'm an overachiever.
I know, seriously.
And it was this very buttoned up doctor. He goes, ha, 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 ha. Where I broke him, which I love.
Don't you?
And then the next time,
really straight people,
and then the next time I go into the doctor's office, he was like, Mayan, which I love when that happens of, as a comedian. It's hard with the medical professional. It is. Because, you want to be able to have that level of professionalism, which is, of course, but, you're also two human beings. There has to be, with good doctors, you're able to establish that kind of rapport.
Absolutely. When I have very dense breasts. Not bragging.
I do too.
Okay.
Hey.
Hey guys, Dense Breast Club. Welcome to Dense Breast Group. But they found a lump. I'll never forget. I was performing in Vegas and I was like, what is this? So they found a lump. It's all fine. It's all good. But I had to get an ultrasound. And so the first time I get it, the first place I went to, she was doing the ultrasound, and I'm a comedian, I can't help it. I go, wouldn't it be weird if you saw a baby in there? Thank you. The right response. She goes, there's no baby in there.
Oh.
I was like, all right, well,
tough,
check, please.
Tough room.
So then they still...
Is this ultrasound done?
I know, seriously. So they send me to UCLA because they couldn't read, whatever. Anyway, so they do it again. And as a good comic, we know we'll try out our jokes again. So I'm like, wouldn't it be weird if you found a baby in there? And she's like, oh my God. I'm like, thank you.
Thank you.
But then she called a whole group of doctors in because she was looking at it. It was like college. It was like a whole bunch of people looking at my tits.
Oh, geez.
I was like, oh my God. But everyone was like, what's this? What's that? And then, of course, I asked for the printout to show everyone my little lump, which is just fat, guys. I have fat inside.
Yeah,
but it's like when I started going... I was in perimenopause for a while during the pandemic, so much fun. And I was on the pill to keep it at bay. And then they took me off the pill and were like, let's see where you are. See if we're going to start you on hormone replacement therapy. I gained when I had my daughter, I was really like, I very stressed. So I lost a lot of weight, but then I gained a lot of weight. Mm-hmm. And I was eating a lot of baked goods, but it was also like, I shouldn't have gained this much weight. And for me, it was like about...
It's a mindfuck,
It was like, it was like 20 pounds. And I've always been the same weight for a very long time. And like, I always know it works. So it was a mindfuck. Mm-hmm. So my daughter's now a year old. I remember I only took like one picture at the one birthday party where I was like turned sideways. And that's not me, but I love being on camera. And I was on camera at the time. I was hosting The World's Funniest Weather. And I had to wear Spanx for the first. I just hated everything about when your stylist.
Some like in Video Village, which is like for those on the industry, that's where a lot of the producers will watch on different monitors, all the cameras, what they're doing. Because we on the sitcom, some people would say, oh, Mayan, you look so much better on camera now. And it would just...
It's a compliment, but it's not.
Oh,
they
it's not at the same time. And like to the point where like I was watching, playbacks and I couldn't look at myself at the monitor.
I've been there.
And it was just very...
I made them use the lift on a lot of the green screen stuff because I looked, coming down, I looked way
Even
better.
like with people taking pictures, I'm like, up.
Yes, up.
Always shoot woman up.
Yes, guys, always shoot a woman up. Like, get on the roof if you have to. Like, I want to be laying down.
Yes, exactly. If you can't, like as much as you can. Yes. Exactly.
From a drone is where I want that fucking picture taken. From space. Yes, exactly.
Trying to get up there.
I want SpaceX up there shooting my fucking face. Mm-hmm. But it's like really, I just thought, well, I was so tired that coffee wasn't doing it, so I was eating a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And then once I went on HRT, hormone replacement therapy, I know I'm not the norm. I'm about 50% because some women, when they start going through menopause and they actually gain it in their belly.
Right.
It was like you. I all of a sudden lost 10 pounds so quickly. I was convinced, because I'm Jewish, that I had cancer. I was like, I'm dying. Because when you're really young and you lose weight without trying, you're like, I'm awesome. When you're older and you lose weight without trying, you're like, I'm dying.
You're like, it's a symptom.
It's a symptom. I'm dead. I'm dead. It's something bad. But it turns out my body just needed estrogen to function.
Right.
It is hormonal. Our bodies are very sensitive.
Yes.
When something, like you had a lot of things out of whack. When something's out of whack, sometimes you're doing all the right things and everybody's probably just like,
I produce too much testosterone, which maybe that's why I get, I'm in my masculine energy, which I'm trying to be more in my feminine energy.
Oh, I know.
Where now I'm like trying to wear dresses because I was very girl boss.
Look at me. I am though too.
I was very much like the hunter with guys, and I'm trying to now be someone that can maybe
the prey.
Yes, I'm trying. I'm gonna try. I think there's a difference of like getting I'm like dome.
You're just like staring at them like, shoot me.
Yeah, I know. It's like wink. I did do that with a guy in New York where I was like, you want a shot? And then and he looked like Luigi Mangione.
Oh. Oh my God, my
like,
ex looks like him. I mean, so much so that when he got arrested, I pulled up an old picture of Rocco. I'll say his name.
Yeah.
Because we reconnected like 20 years after we dated. But like when he was in his 20s, I'm like, that's Rocco. Like, yeah.
So
yeah, we have the same taste in guys.
Which even like my guy friends, my friends were like, Luigi to him. And he said that he actually got questioned.
Right? Oh my God, he did?
But he was like 6'3", like Brazilian. But then I found out he was 21 years old.
Even hotter.
And I was like, oh, I'm a cougar now.
You are. Yeah.
But I was like, hey, that's God forbid.
You know what's interesting? You're going to find that too. The older you get, the younger guys. I wasn't like set out to be a cougar. Those are the men that actually would come up and talk to me.
You know what? I saw something that I attract like narcissists and like men like my father. And I think I saw one TikTok where a girl was like, sometimes that's a lot of guys will think that you already have someone or you're not interested and that they won't approach you. Yep. So the ones that will approach you are the ones that are like have maybe narcissistic or like self-absorbed because they'll be like, yeah, I'll go talk to her.
Right.
Like, of course she wants to go talk to me. And that's like a very interesting thing too. It's something to like, maybe I don't like, I can agree with parts of it, but it's a very interesting perspective to that.
I'm going to save you though a little bit of time and like, I don't know, confusion, anxiety about it, because you and I have similar energy, and I was told a lot of my life, which I now, and by the way, I've also done a lot of work on myself. I've also done like mushroom journeys, MDMA journeys.
Oh yes, I've done ketamine therapy as well. Yes, ketamine therapy.
Yeah. I've worked on removing a lot of like walls and like all of those things that I put up, you know, protective mechanisms. And I come across as like, I don't need a guy, whatever. Here's the thing. It's actually the right person will find you.
Yes.
Like, and we get really twisted up in knots. I did. People are like, well, you look like you don't need anyone, so they're not coming up to you. And I'm like, but that's not the case.
No.
You know? And I've actually, there are a select few men in my life that I've been with that didn't see all of that, that really just saw me, that were the right person at the right time. It's not the right time now, but I have to truly believe that the right person for you and the right person for me will find us, and this will be our strength. They will love every aspect of this. You know what I mean? And we will complement each other. And maybe we're still going through whatever journey we all need to go through until we match with the right person.
Exactly. They're going on theirs too. But I'm just trying to become the woman that will be a good partner for them. And I want to be, you know, eventually, like, I want to be the matriarch of my own family. Yeah. And I have to think about, you know, that as well, of like, what kind of mother would I want to be? But I have to mother myself.
To mother yourself.
I have to mother myself first. Yes, like, even now, like, I was like, okay, your show got canceled. Like, you know, like, lick your wounds for a second. But even I'm like wanting to try stand up and get into, you know, doing stand up. Yes, exactly. I would love to do that. You know, I'm going to be a judge on RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars in this next bracket. And, you know, I was with like in the same bracket as Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. And I'm like, me? Like, you know, that's like,
I know, and it's like,
and it's great. That's streaming on Paramount Plus. So that's something that I've gone twice, which that show was, I definitely believe in the power of manifestation.
So do I. I totally believe that.
And just kind of putting out there. And, you know, right now I'm in a place where I'm very nervous, but I'm trying to be like, the world is so crazy right now.
Crazy right now.
You know, it's really crazy. Find your community, take care of yourself, and like things will happen.
Everything I can tell you already, I mean, you've accomplished so much. It's incredibly impressive. And you're such like a down-to-earth human being.
You know what's so weird though is that one time my mom actually found it, a reading with an astrologer that she used to work with. And it's dated about 12 years ago. And she said at 27, Mayan will have a TV show about her life.
Oh my God. Who is this person?
Her name was Iris Saltzman. And even like Larry King had worked with her, but it was like my mom at the time was like, Mayan will have a TV show about her life. Like, what does that mean? Will be like something in reality. And I mean, you know, this woman, she was very.
What else did she? Anything after that?
She actually came through in a reading, a medium. I'm very. This might be a little woo woo for people.
No, are you kidding me?
But I'm a very big believer in having, you know, that the people who have passed are watching over me, and they are my guides. They see everything. Everyone, they know what's going on. They live life through our eyes, I like to think. And so she came through, and she was like my Jewish grandmother. And Jewish grandmother from New York.
So this
and she
astrologer
was like,
passed.
She passed away, and she passed away.
And she came through because
I was very, very close with her. I had a reading with her when I was 15, and I actually had a feeling inside of me that I was like, I have it recorded, and it was over 10 years ago.
Oh my God.
And I knew I had it, and I found it, and I found like a recorder or a charger for it. And everything in that reading was what I needed to hear at that time. And then I met with a medium. I was like, maybe she'll come through.
Right.
I mean, she was already on such a high plane.
Right.
And she was like, wasn't I right about everything?
She came through just to be like, told
and she
you
goes,
so.
wasn't I right? And I go, you were. You 100% were. But she said that, you know, that everything is going to be okay with me. She said to dump the guy that I was seeing at the time, that he wasn't like
come through to me.
And, you know, it was something that I take it with a grain of salt, but I like to know that I've experienced a lot of loss. I've lost like some friends, and also I've outlived friends of mine, which that's a very hard thing at
your age. Yes.
And so, you know, I live for them, and I take them along with me, and it's a beautiful
It's a beautiful thing.
Aging is not something, I think it's a privilege.
Yep, I just said that recently. Aging is a privilege. The only thing is that you suffer a lot of loss. I lost my mom 12 years ago and my brother a month and a half ago.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And that was unexpected. But my mom, I mean, I've seen so many mediums, so many psychics. One of my favorites, Lucas Turner, I talk about him all the time. He's unbelievable. He predicted exactly when my daughter was coming, and he didn't even know that I was in the He just was like, at that time I was trying to get a surrogate pregnant, and when he told me, he was like, February, I see you with a child. I was like, oh, so it didn't take. I literally was like, it was December.
Right.
And then January 31st, my daughter was born. I got the call that day, overnight mom. And it was,
wow.
I met her February 1st. I mean, It was like, but he was so right about so many other things. But my mom came to me 6 months before that in a meditation, clear as day, with another woman. And the three of us were like, doing a huddle, and we were spinning, and I was sobbing in this meditation. I just knew this other person was my daughter. It was weird. It was
yes,
like a grown woman,
it was
but
her soul.
I knew that was what's going to happen. 6 months later, I'm holding my baby girl.
That's so. So it's that's so beautiful.
It's so beautiful.
Like there's so much energy, and there's so many things that we don't understand.
I know.
It
actually makes me feel hopeful, and even though it's hard to lose people, yes, I feel them all around. And my mom lives with me now.
Even like guys. My old therapist who passed away, she goes, I walked in with you on set when you were having a bad day because I lost her the second week of filming.
Oh, God.
And that was, like, this woman, like, made me who I am today. And she passed away at 38 from colon cancer.
Oh, my God.
Like, it was just horrible. And
horrible.
You know, she and 3 children, but like that's something that, you know, I dedicated the episode in her honor.
That's so nice.
And she told me in a reading, she goes, you didn't have to go do that much. I told her, but I was like, you know, I have heard her voice before. I've heard things, and it's comforting in moments that you know that you're not alone. That you're not alone in this. And like, nice. You know, if I do get called ma'am, at least buy me a margarita first.
Something.
Ma'am, at least like treat me with good ma'am energy, because I'm a millennial. I'm like a baby millennial, but it's like, you know, I'm asking for a margarita on mentorship. Like, you know, I'm just trying to pay my mortgage and look hot on Instagram right now. I'm like, don't come for me.
Energy.
You know, Gen Z thinks I'm too old, and then boomers think I'm too rebellious, and I'm like, I'm just trying to live.
Yeah.
You know.
You are. You're multi-generational.
Just call me Mayan.
Just call me Mayan. Yes. That's what the show's going to be. We're going to change it. Don't call me Mayan. Call her Mayan.
Yeah, just call it, yes.
And don't call me ma'am.
Don't call me ma'am. Just call me Mayan.
It's so funny because I love your name.
Yes.
And when my daughter was born, I knew it was going to be an M name after my mother, who's Marcia. And I didn't know if I was having Marsha. And I didn't know if it was going to be, by the way, every time I hear that, I know that my mom is here. So
hi, Marsha.
I knew that it had to be an M name, but I didn't know when I was in the adoption system if I was going to have a boy or a girl.
Right.
And then when I got the girl, I remember I was flying out to Kentucky, vomiting on the plane because I was like, I'm going to be a mom.
I
was so like freaked out. And it was between McKenna and Mackenzie, and I didn't know until I actually walked in the room. But I was thinking of M names, and I didn't think of mine, and it's such a beautiful name.
Yeah, no, my dad named me. My parents were like, I think my dad was doing a stand-up date, and they were watching CNN, and there was this Israeli runway model, because my name is Mayan, which means eternal spring in Hebrew also. So whenever I meet people who are Israeli, they're like, Mayan. I'm like, oh, that sounds so much better. Like,
that sounds really hot.
I'm like, no. And they're like, am I saying it right? I'm like, yes, you are. You're saying it the right way.
So right.
And no, but so she was talking about just the way that she had like beautiful red hair, and just the things that were coming out of her mouth about the world and Israel versus Palestine. Like, it was just, they were very impressed with her.
Right.
And her name was Mayan, and my dad was like, Mayan, like Mayan. Like,
so great.
Like, I'm Mexican, like the civilization. Like, if we have a daughter, we should name her Mayan. And then my mom wanted Isabel, like Isabel, which is the Spanish spelling of Isabel. And it's a family name, so that's my middle name.
I love it.
So mine, Isabel Lopez, which, you know, I think I did have one boyfriend at the time who goes, I'll go by Lopez. You know, I'll take your last name.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what maybe I'll just, like, professionally, I've like toyed about maybe further in my career, like just dropping Lopez and being Mayan, because it's such a, you know, unique name. And, but I was like, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, because I'm like, I don't know what else would go with it besides Lopez.
Yeah, I don't either.
No.
We'll have to wait. That'll be the next
We'll have to wait and see.
Yes. Well, all right. Tell everyone where they can find you obviously, besides watching her on Netflix, because Lopez vs. Lopez is a great show.
Oh, thank you. You can find me on Mayan Lopez on Instagram and TikTok. Those are really those are my platforms that I use.
I can't thank you enough for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
God. Thank you guys for listening, for watching, for doing all the things, for falling asleep if you fell asleep and you just woke up right now. My name is Jodi Miller, and don't call me ma'am. Thanks for tuning in to Don't Call Me Ma'am. Don't forget to subscribe and like so you never miss an episode. See you next time.